This week in the 5 and 5, Banjo and Smash Brothers, the Vive Pro price has been announced, play handhelds online, the Nintendo Nindies reaction, and the Atari VCS. I'm your host, Super Nicktendo, so let's put 5 minutes on the clock and begin. Is Banjo from Banjo Kazooie coming to the Super Smash Bros. Roster on the Nintendo Switch? Maybe. Phil Spencer doesn't seem to have an issue with the rare character being playable on the Switch. So we'll have to see if Nintendo actually agrees to it. Personally, I'm not sure that Banjo would be added, but it's not like we've seen characters that aren't in games actually on a Nintendo console. Ryu and Cloud were on the previous Smash roster, and there wasn't a Final Fantasy VII or Street Fighter on the Nintendo Wii U. It would be cool if Banjo and Kazooie were in the game, and I could see their moves being very natural in the game. But on the other hand, it would make me mad that there hasn't been a proper Banjo Kazooie game in 10 years. And I'm not really that big of a Smash player, but I would try out Banjo if he was added to Smash. I guess it's on Nintendo to make it happen. We might not see it at launch since the game is coming out in 2018, but he might be a downloadable character. The Vive Pro price has been announced and people aren't happy. $800 for the headset. Just the headset. Which means that you have to either buy the sensor separately or already have the original headset. Not cool, HTC. The Vive Pro would be a really awesome headset to get if it included the sensors for that price, and if it was released about 6 months earlier. The HMD scene has gotten more robust in the past 2 years. It's no longer the Rift and the Vive, it's now the Windows Mixed Reality, Google Cardboard, Google Daydream, Gear VR, and even a PlayStation VR for consoles. The Vive no longer stands out, and while outside tracking provides a stellar tracking experience, inside-out tracking is good enough and half the price. But the good thing is that the first gen Vive is $500, which makes it very tempting to those looking to buy into the VR experience for the first time. However, the Vive is now 2 years old, and with tech like this, it doesn't age very well. If you've been wanting to play those incredibly old and dated Tiger handhelds, but don't really feel like spending money on them, the Internet Archive has got you covered. Now you can play some of the most infamously terrible handheld games that were crazy popular in the 80s and 90s. The emulation is pretty spot on, but the games are just as tough to play as they were in physical form. The LCD display makes sense in the game form, but some of these games are just meant to be forgotten. I'll leave a link in the description down below so that you can bookmark it, and when you have kids and they complain about their PlayStation 15 not having good enough graphics, you can show them this site and tell them how bad you had it when you were a kid. This is essentially my generation's I had to walk to school uphill both ways in the 3 feet of snow. Savor it. Nintendo had another Direct. Well, it wasn't a Direct, it was a Nindies announcement. A lot of people got their live stream set up to share their reactions, and by the time everybody got all situated, it was over. Yep, 10 minutes went by and Nintendo was like, see you next time. And that was disappointing, but we did get to see some really cool games coming out in the next couple of months. I'm pretty excited for a couple of the games, and they look a lot of fun on the go. You got a game with a chicken that lays bombs, a crazy billiards game, and that chiptune rhythm game seems alright. I get why people would be upset that this is a 10-minute show. I would just rather have them release a video and be done with it, and I really don't think it deserved an entire live fanfare ordeal. But I will say that people who are upset that they didn't announce Fortnite or any more Smash details really need to curb their expectations. Nindies has always been for indie studios to showcase their games. I'm glad that Nintendo is building a good relationship with developers. The Nintendo Switch is looking to be the indie platform of choice, since Steam can't seem to lift good games out of the incredible clutter that's in the Steam store. Alright, last topic, let's talk about it. The Atari Box, that infamous machine that's supposed to revolutionize gaming or some other buzzword that's hot these days, has been renamed the Atari VCS, which if you're over 30, you'll know that the Atari 2600 was called that when it first released. No specs have been announced. It might be very powerful, or it just might be enough to play some retro games. Apparently it will run Linux, but it's not a Steam box. It can be hacked to allow Steam to run on it though. Atari doesn't have a working unit, but they did have a prototype mock-up at GDC. No release date has been announced either, not even a ballpark estimate. The wireless joystick looks like a modern 2600 controller, and that looks pretty cool. The console will look awesome on my shelf, but without a lot of details I'll reserve judgment, especially if it's going to be $150 to $300. I will say that I'm interested in buying it for the notoriety factor alone. If it looks good in the retail release as it does in the mock-ups, I'm buying it day one. It just looks that cool. And that's it for the 5 and 5 for March 27th. What did you think? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Are you planning on getting an Atari VCS when it comes out? If you like this video, give it a like, and if you're new here, I do a 5 and 5 every Tuesday and post a new video on Thursday. So if that's something that you're interested in, consider subscribing so you'll never miss an episode. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Super Nicktendo, and I'll see you next time.